But the other example that I'll give that I see actually a lot, the industry and the business that I work in, the medical device industry, there are a lot of people who have technical backgrounds. So
Right.
engineering, right?
Right.
And I'm for my engineer friends, I hate to, but I'm picking on you a little bit here. So stereotypes, I'm sorry for that. But uh, you know, they folks who get put up into management a lot of times it's because they were a great engineer. They could think out of the box, bigger picture. They saw what the company was trying to achieve. But the interesting thing is that old phrase of, well, what got you here isn't going to get you there.
Right.
That's what ends up happening. And so they get put into management and they're utilizing that same skill set, but in a very different role.
Right.
And it becomes quite challenging.
Yeah. No, look, I get you. I mean, early on in my career, my first legitimate management job was with, General Mills. And I was back in the mid-Atlantic on the East Coast. I had a $14 million district. That's what they call them, district managers. And I had 8 people that ranged all the way from, people that were in their mid 20s and hadn't been with the company very long, to one guy who was getting ready to retire. He was already like 64 and he had about 1 year to go. And so he was working for me. And I look back on those days and I realize now, and I've seen this for a while, but for the purpose of this conversation, I realized that I was the quintessential example of somebody that got promoted for their abilities as a sales account manager. And when I got into that role, what I didn't know, you could have filled a stadium with. I mean, it was unbelievable. And I know some people picked up on it, especially people above me. But you know what they're doing? They're thinking, okay, he'll get through it. He'll figure it out. He'll get feedback. And eventually, what they don't think about is how long is it going to take me to arrive? And how long are the people that I'm overseeing willing to wait before they just say, I'm out of here. I can't take this any longer.
Well, I think a lot of that goes back to how you operate as a manager in those moments. Are you operating with grace and humility, or are you coming in and doing that whole thing of like fake it till you make it?
Yes.
And that's interesting because I have seen in my upbringing in my career where people go in and they just start doing really weird behavioral things. But
Right.
what they're really doing is they're cloaking the fact that they don't really know the job, they're
Oh, yeah.
uncomfortable. And so it's
Yes.
almost like they're overcompensating for that.
Right. Yeah. No, actually, I mean that all that kind of stuff happens whether you truly are inexperienced or whether along the way, maybe you're a manager that has come into the company as a manager from another company and you've brought some of your own bad habits with you. Now, nobody has picked up on this yet, but you're using those because maybe you got no feedback from the prior company. So you just figured, okay, if I'm not hearing anything to the contrary, this must work. It's certainly working for me. And so you come into a new company with a different culture and all of a sudden things start going sideways.